there was a lot of financial analysis along the way, and as such, I was part of, I was heavily part of the operations and decisions as to like which markets we wanted to be in and how we were going to do that. And the markets we were in were typically is demand side management, which energy efficiency, broad-based. It was consumer directed. We had partnership within the commercial space, but none of them actually worked very well from a software perspective. So there was very little revenue. Then there was a demand response, which is another type of demand side management. It's just much more pointed in time at peak events. And then we had more of like consumer-facing systems. So we became the main way that a customer would interact with their utility, and which wasn't necessarily demand side management. It was more just consumer and customer management. Yep. So that's the overall. I don't know. I mean, I can go in a million different directions. So why don't you start me off?
That's helpful. Just firstly, our understanding, especially with O-Power, its focus is on the energy analytics and consumer engagement piece that you just talked about just now. But you also spoke about the demand response side. Is that something that Oracle is still focused on, or are they still in that space?
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay.
And that's a very interesting space because it's just beginning. But back in, I think it was 2016, California legislated that every utility that wanted to operate in California needed to have a demand response program. I'm not entirely sure about the timeline that's set for it, but that pretty much ensures that there's going to be a market. And O-Power had a hugely more efficient solution than existing offering in the marketplace. So I don't see Oracle really giving that up.
Yep, sure. Who are they bumping into the most on the demand response side? If you're
so on demand this year, I don't have an insight to since I left 2 years ago. But the big players in demand response is typically Enernoc, and who's the other one? Let's see.
Did you bump into Converge and Itron? They merged recently.
Yes.
That was that's one of the companies that we've heard a lot about in the space as perhaps having the largest market share. But we weren't actually aware that Oracle still played in that segment of the market.
Well, the reason is that the demand response has traditionally been operated as in you go and you install a piece of hardware on equipment either in commercial or consumer homes that will cycle off certain equipment during a peak event. Typically in the consumer space, you will cycle off the AC unit, and you can imagine how popular that is when you have a heat wave.
Exactly. Not very
more
effective,
sophisticated.
I'm sure.
Right. Well, no, it's very effective. It's just they would not. It wasn't
on customers opting out of that. They switching off the AC. They're like, no, I'm having none of that.
Exactly. It works one time, and then they turn it off. However, because it's not a two-way system, typically a utility doesn't know who has done that. They've been slightly more sophisticated in the commercial space where like 7-Elevens will turn off every other light bulb, the long fluorescent kinds, which is more of a gentle way of doing it. You will lower energy consumption and people will notice it, but it's not going to ruin your day. What O-Power did was